Hey, it's Alan. Welcome back. All right, this lesson we're going to talk about getting set up, or getting your ducks in a row, as we sometimes call it in the United States, starting with your screen resolution. You want to click the start button and type resolution, R-E-S-O at least, and look for a change the screen resolution option on your start menu. You'll come to something that looks like this, depending on what version of Windows you're using. But the important thing is that you use the recommended resolution for any monitor. So on this first monitor on the left, the recommended resolution is 3840 by 1024. So that's what I would select. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but they told me 1280 by 720 for my course. That's true, but that's your dimensions of your video you're producing. For recording, you always want to go with the recommended settings. Now, if you have two or more monitors, like in this example, then you want to set them both to whatever the recommended resolution is. And they won't be the same, and that's fine. You're probably only going to record off one of the screens anyway. And when you're done, just click apply. I don't have to do anything because I was already set there. And just click apply and follow the instructions on your screen. Now, the reason mine looks kind of unusual is because I have this sort of thing going on where the big wide monitor on the left is actually three monitors together, sort of configured to act like one big monitor, and then a normal monitor on the right. But that has nothing to do with what we're doing here. I just record off the monitor on the right, and you too can, of course, just record off one monitor. The second thing you may want to do is enlarge your mouse pointer a little, because remember, people looking at these recordings might be looking at a much smaller screen, so your mouse pointer could be hard for them to see. If you click Start and type Mouse, then look for some kind of mouse properties or mouse settings dialog box. In Windows 10, you'll come to this kind of a thing, and then you can click Additional Mouse Options, and eventually you'll get to this Mouse Properties dialog box, which is what we really care about here. On the Pointers tab here, you want to pick a nice large mouse pointer size, like one of the extra larges. I usually go with this magnified system scheme because it's big and it's got a nice dark outline. It's real easy to see. And over on Pointer Options, there's nothing really terribly relevant, but if you want to show pointer trails, you should probably keep them kind of short, because otherwise when you do freeze frames and stuff, which we'll talk about later, you end up with a lot of mouse pointers on the screen. It doesn't look right. Just leaving it off unchecked is probably your best bet. And then just click OK to close the dialog box, and if you have this other settings thing still open, you can close that too. Alrighty, next we'll talk about getting your microphone ready, just in case you're going to do any narration or voiceovers or whatever. And in Windows, you typically do that by clicking the Start button, type Sound, and look for Sound Control Panel. Okay, when you get there, it'll look something like this. On the Playback tab, you tell it where you want the sound to come from, coming out. And if it's not already selected with the green check marks, select the one you want and click Set Default. The Recording tab is the main one we're concerned about here, and that should be set to whatever you're going to use for your actual voice recording. And if it doesn't show that green check mark, click it and then click Set Default. And then you can click OK to close that dialog box. And lastly, it's not a bad idea to get your folders together for the course you're creating. What I usually do is I'll create a folder for the course itself. All right, so this would be C9 Quick Start. The underscore puts it at the top of the list in alphabetical order. And then within that course folder, I have a subfolder for each lesson, and I number them and title them like the lesson title. And then within each of those lesson files, I have three files I put in there in advance. One is the opening thing you see at the beginning of each lesson. One is this Blackboard thing I use for titles as we go from one section to next in the lesson. And then my universal ending I put at the end of each lesson. And I put those in there in advance so that when I get there working on that lesson, those are already there. It's all scored away. I don't have to think about them anymore. Again, this is just an organizational thing, certainly not a technical requirement, but something to think about, because it's kind of a big deal making a course, so the more organized you are up front, the better. All right? Now, in the next lesson, we're going to talk about actually recording the screen, so I'll see you over there.